Hello and welcome to this Affinity Photo iPad version beginner's guide part 2B. Now in part 2A I looked mainly at the home page, which is the screen that we are now looking at. I now want to look at the interface when we start to actually edit images and make images. So let's just open up an image. I'll click on or tap on this image of our cat, and this is the screen that you will be presented with the tools running down the left and the studios running down the right. As previously mentioned in the last video, you can swap those over if you change it to the left hand mode. Running along the top you have the big arrow which takes you back to the home page, and then you have a couple of menus and then the different personas. Now in the bottom right corner there is a question mark. If you tap and hold on that, what will be displayed is what all those different menus and icons stand for. So as you can see down the left, you've got like the view tool, move tool, crop tool, and basically all the tools. Down the right you have all the studio tabs. Now if, like me, you are used to the PC version and the Mac version, the studio tabs are all down the right as well. Now some of the studio tabs have sort of been linked together. I will come to that in a moment. Now just be above this question mark, which I'm holding my finger on, are the undo and redo buttons. I mentioned in the previous video how you can add those options to the interface. Now at the top, like I said, we have the first two menus, which is document and then command, and then you have the personas, which we are currently in the photo persona. Selections is not something that is on the PC version, and I haven't yet quite looked into that, so I don't know what that does. Liquify will help you manipulate the image, move pixels around. Develop persona is where raw files will be opened. Tone mapping is where HDR images can be made, and the export persona will help you export certain items or parts of an image. So let me just take my finger off that button. So like I said, looking at the icons on the right, first of all, the studio tabs, I did mention that some studios tabs that are from like the PC version are linked together. So for example, if I click on the FX icon, we get the layers effect. But if you look down the bottom, you've got styles. So that would be a separate tab in the PC version, but it is linked together with the FX. Now if you click on the icon that you've used, like in my case the FX, it will close that tab. So tapping it once to open, tapping it again to close it. So I'm going to first of all start with the menus. At the top, the first one on the left is the documents, and in here you've got things like resize, so you can resize your document, export, so you can save your images out as JPEGs or other formats. You can export as a LUT, export as a template, you can send it to your printer, and then you can turn the snapping on and off, turn the guides on and off, and work out, position your guides, I would imagine. I've not yet tested that part. Checking your spelling, and these are probably the options that you would find in the file menu on a PC Mac version, and the menu next to that is the commands, and this is probably similar to the edit menu on the PC or Mac. So you got like duplicate selection, and say like pasteboard, you got cut, copy, paste, and all those. And a bit further down we have rasterize. For example, you got rasterize and trim, and convert to curves, geometry, which is where you can add, subtract, intersect, etc. And then you have projection, where you got the perspective projection. You don't seem to have a mesh tool on the iPad version, or at least I haven't yet found it anyway. So those are the two menus along the top there. Let me just close that menu, and we're just going to have a quick look down these options on the right. The one at the top here is, you will press that and you will lose the interface icons, and just click it again to bring them back. Below that we have the layers menu, so you have different layers, and then they're all displayed, and you can turn them on, turn them off. Now I do have an image here which I can just turn on and off, and you have other options along the top. Next one down we have the color option, where you can have a color wheel, sliders, and different options. And let's come back to the color wheel. So let me shut that. Next one we have the brushes, and there are loads of brushes here, but you can also scroll through and get lots of other brushes. Let's come back to the basic one. The one below that is the adjustments tab, and there are quite a lot here, so it might be easier to click on the left and right arrows up here to narrow down your search. So if you know you want a black and white options, you can go there, brightness and contrast. And I'm not 100% certain about these ones because it's just got channel mixer, color balance, curves, and I'm not 100% certain. I have yet to work out how that works, but I will get around to that later on. And then, like I said, you've got all these other options in the adjustments. So let me get back to the beginning again. Oh, let's not worry about that, let's shut that down. And the next one is filters, and much like before, there's loads here, so it might be easier just to use the left and right arrows at the top here to find the type of filter that you are going to look for. You can also toggle this button here and add them as live filters rather than just basic filters. The next one we've looked at already, which is the layer effects and styles. Then we have all your text options, and the next one down is you've got the histogram, and we also have the EXIF details about your image. The one under this is channels, and then we have the transform studio. We have all sorts of options to rotate and shear, and again this is probably for a future tutorial. Then we have the navigator tab. Again, you can zoom in, zoom out, and find your way around the image. Now, next one is macros. Now, by default, you get about 5 here, but I do have some others which I downloaded because they came from my account. So like the Mystical Lights macro, I'm not certain whether all of these ones are ones I downloaded, or whether they were part of the package, but I definitely know the Mystical Lights one was one that downloaded. And the next one is assets. Again, these are ones I downloaded from my account. So I have the rain overlays and then rainbows, and some of these should be here. Yeah, from the Mystical Lights, again that was downloaded from my account, and there's quite a few of those ones. So that is the assets. The next one is the stock tab, where you can get pictures from Pixabay or Pexels. So all you need to do is to type in what you want to look for. So if I put in here, for example, house, and then press return, it will give you lots of pictures of houses. And let's say, for example, I want this one here. You just hold your finger on it for a little while and then drag it onto your document, and just wait for that to do download. And let me just shut this down, and I can then resize this if I wanted to. Make sure I'm on the right layer, might help you. So, yeah. Here we go. So you can add pictures from the stock tab onto your projects. And the last icon down here is the history tab, where you can go back steps. So if I didn't want that picture anymore, I could just go back to there and start afresh with my editing. Now as for the icons on the left, let me hold down this question mark here. So we've got the view tool, move tool, color picker, crop tool, etc. Now some of these, like a bit in the middle of them, they have a little mark just to the right and below them. This means there are more tools here than are displayed. So if I tap on this one here, which is the paintbrush tool, and running along the bottom of the interface we have the options for that brush. But if I click it again, you will then get the different tools that are available. So you could pick one of these other ones. So again, if I come to the next one down, which is the erase tools, and at the bottom you have the erase tool options. If I click that again, you've also got the background erase tool, and below that we have the burn brush tool, and if I tap it again, you've got the dodge tool, sponge tool, etc. And below that we have the clone brush tool, and then in that menu you've got healing brush, patch brush, the in-painting brush, which is very good, and the red eye removal. And I think a bit further down we've got the pen tool, which will also have the node tool in it, and the one that's below that is the rectangle shape, but you tap it again and you will get the options for all the other shapes. And the one below that is just the text, and you have art text and frame text. So that is my sort of hopefully quick look at the basic interface, and I will hopefully look more in depth at certain items in future videos. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.